Election Day is less than 3 weeks away. People around the nation will be going to the polls to elect their next president, as well as their senators, governors, and congressional representatives. Good evening, I'm JT Petsch.
And I'm Matthew Nies. Democratic congressional candidate Pam Gulseth was in Jamestown earlier today to host an early voting rally at the Democratic Nonpartisan League headquarters in the Buffalo Mall. Gulseth talked about incumbent state representative Lyle Hansen and newcomers on the ballot this year.
Tremendous voice for Jamestown in this area in the state legislature, has been as consistent as you can get in terms of a great legislator. Jessica and John, so great to have you guys running. I know you're just pouring all of your energy into this race. I hear so many good things. That's going to make all the difference in the world. So we are 15 days away.
She talked about how a major blizzard almost cost her the election when she ran for the state house in 1992, and how it's so much easier today.
We had to move people to the polls, and in four-wheel drive pickups. We did everything we could to make sure people got to the polls throughout my district, which is a big, 5 counties in a big rural area. That can be devastating to a campaign. So now having the options for everyone of being able to vote early. You can do it by, as I said, go to the courthouse, or you can grab an absentee ballot from an application from right here and have it mailed directly to your house. We couldn't make the process any more simple.
Gulseth's visit to Jamestown kicked off her stand-up tour, where she will be visiting with voters in Velva, Minot, Rugby, Devils Lake, and Grand Forks. Almost 400 students from over 20 North Dakota high schools came to the Jamestown College campus today to participate in the 5th annual Jamestown College Math Competition. The event started early this morning with tests that whittled down the field to 6 teams, which faced each other for the final round.
All right, what is the sum of the first 20 multiples of 3? All right, and our champions of this year's team challenge is Dickinson High School with a score of 55.
Desiree Tibor was the coach for the winning Dickinson High School team.
Our seniors have been studying for the last 4 years in their regular classes and after school, putting in some extra time taking tests and learning things like the binary system and stuff that we don't have in the normal curriculum at high school. It's been an awesome opportunity here at Jamestown. I've been the advisor for 5 years and have attended the Jamestown meet all 5 years. It's been extraordinary. Every year there's a good balance of questions that challenge the students and some questions that just recall some old things from geometry class or algebra class. It's a very nice mix.
The eyes of the American public will again be focused on President Barack Obama and former Governor Mitt Romney as the two go head-to-head in their final presidential debate tonight. While the two previous debates have largely focused on the economy and other domestic issues, foreign policy will be the major topic of discussion. Lately, there has been much foreign policy talk about the Benghazi attack in Libya, which led to the death of the U.S. ambassador to Libya, Christopher Stevens. But the candidates will discuss other issues as well, including China, U.S. relations, and U.S. involvement in Iraq and Afghanistan. While the debate will focus on foreign policy of President Obama and Governor Romney, voters will perhaps look more for strong leadership rather than focus on the specific policy details. Recent polls indicate that President Obama holds a slight edge in voters' minds regarding foreign policy, but Governor Romney holds a slight edge when voters are asked which candidate they think is a stronger leader. Former Senator and presidential nominee George McGovern died on Sunday. A self-described good old South Dakota boy, McGovern was born and raised in southeastern South Dakota. He was a strong proponent of the progressive federal government and was elected to the Senate in 1962 after a stint in the Air Force during World War II. During his 3 terms, McGovern tried hard to pass various civil rights bills and food programs, and was also a leader of senatorial opposition to the Vietnam War. In the 1972 presidential election, McGovern, a Democrat, faced Republican President Richard Nixon. McGovern only won 17 electoral votes to President Nixon's 520 in what was one of the most lopsided elections in American history.
Russell Means, the charismatic Oglala Sioux, who helped revive the warrior image of the American Indian in the 1970s with guerrilla tactic protests that called attention to the nation's history of injustices against its indigenous peoples, died on Monday at his ranch in Porcupine, South Dakota, on the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation. He was 72. In a 1973 protest covered by the national news media for months, Means led hundreds of Indians and white sympathizers in an occupation of Wounded Knee, South Dakota, site of the 1890 massacre of almost 350 Lakota men, women, and children. The protesters demanded strict federal adherence to old Indian treaties and an end to what they called corrupt tribal governments. Fine weather for duck hunting this week. Jessica will tell us more after the break.
So you can't save money? That's easy as pie. Brown bagging lunch instead of going out. $6 save times 5 days a week times 10 years is $21,000. That's a lot of lettuce. Small changes today, big bucks tomorrow. Feedthepig.org.
7-time Tour de France winner Lance Armstrong saw his name removed from the record books today, after the International Cycling Union announced that it will not appeal the ruling by the U.S. Anti-Doping Agency to bar Armstrong from the athletic competitions. Tour race director Christian Prudhomme said he no longer considered Armstrong a champion and that the Amore Sport organization, which organizes the Tour de France, would also remove Armstrong's name from its books. From 1999 to 2005, Armstrong dominated the cycling world, winning an unprecedented 7 Tour de France titles. But after an investigation into steroid use, officials ruled that Armstrong's success was the result of rampant doping. The decision by the International Cycling Union to not appeal comes as another blow to Armstrong, who stepped down as the chairman of his Live Strong charity last week. It looks like fall might actually be here, and things might get a little wet on us this week. Jessica's here to tell us more about that. Jessica, weekend beautiful, 62s, great day for football. What can you tell me about conditions this
You're
week?
right, JT. It was a nice weekend, and this week will kind of look a lot like last week, some highs and some lows. Definitely a good week for hunting. I would want to dress warm. Tonight, there's a 40% chance of rain with a high of 43 degrees. Tomorrow, we will have another chance of precipitation with a slight breeze and an overall high of about 61 degrees. Tomorrow night, we can again expect some rain as temperatures drop to the low 40s. Wednesday, the rain continues with a chilly high in the mid-40s. The rain will begin to die down around 1 a.m. Thursday morning, slowly turning to snow. Much like last week, the snow won't stick around long, but just long enough to cool Thursday down a bit to highs barely reaching 40 degrees. Friday and Saturday will be similar in temperature with highs in the mid-30s, and Sunday another chance of rain as well as snow. So a cold, rainy week ahead of us, JT, probably coats, jackets, mittens, all of the above.
All of the above. Definitely got to break out the wardrobe this weekend, that's for sure. Recent studies show that American boys are beginning to sexually mature at a younger age. This according to a study from researchers at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. The study does not specify as to why this trend is occurring, but some possibilities may be chemical exposures and changes in diet. Well, after the break, Josh Knutson will be with us to tell us what happened this week in Jimmy Sports.
Learning how to kick flip 6 stairs takes determination. So will getting into college. I've got what it takes. So do you.
Jamestown College students had a long weekend with fall break today, but sports teams were busy. Matt Balshaw has the week off, but Josh Knutson is with us here today to tell us what happened this weekend. And Josh, most of the teams were on the road this weekend with the Jamestown College football team in Valley City and both soccer teams on the road in Iowa. Tell us what happened this weekend.
Well, it was a busy and successful weekend for Jimmy Sports, as many compiled victories on the road. In women's cross country, Eliona Reyes, the junior All-American, finished third out of almost 150 runners at the Mount Marty Invitational on Saturday in Yankton, South Dakota. Concordia University's Sarah Courts finished the race with a strong first-place finish. Freshman Samantha Goff continued her strong debut season for the Jimmies, finishing in 14th place, running her best time of the season. The Jamestown College men's soccer team split their 2 games in Iowa over the weekend. The men suffered a difficult 2-1 defeat to Ashford University on Saturday. Austin Dillard's goal in the 79th minute broke the seal and put Jamestown College up 1-0, but a dubious penalty call in the 88th minute made the score 1-1, before Lucas Almeida's double sealed the game for Ashford. The Jimmies picked up the split this weekend after defeating Mount Mercy thanks to first half goals from Jay Johnson and George Gall that were assisted by Dominic O'Connor and Jack Keeley, respectively. The Jimmies are 13-3 on the season and are back in action this weekend when they travel to Montana. The Jimmy ladies tied and lost this weekend against 2 strong opponents. The Jimmy women were able to muscle out a 2-2 tie in double overtime against Ashford on Saturday. The Jimmies scored first as Jolyn Warrens scored in the 33rd minute mark. Ashford got the next 2, but the Jimmies got the equalizer in the 52nd minute from a spectacular goal by Nikki Martineau. The Jimmies played Mount Mercy on Sunday, and the women dropped a 1-0 to fall to 8-6-2 on the season. Jamestown College's women's volleyball was swept by 13th ranked Grandview on the start of the day. The Jimmies fell down 1-0 to Olivet Nazarene in the night match, but rallied to take the next 3 for their 20th win of the season. Jamestown College improved to 3-1 against ranked teams with a marathon 3-2 win over number 20 Vertebo to wrap up play at the Grandview tournament in Des Moines on Saturday. The Jimmies improved to 22-6 on the season. The Jamestown College football team traveled to Valley City this weekend to play the Vikings for the Paint Bucket. The Jimmies struck first in the second quarter as Lance Johannesson had a 23-yard touchdown run, but the extra point was no good. The Vikings added a field goal at the end of the quarter, and both teams went into the half with Jamestown in the lead 6-3. At the end of the third quarter, Vikings quarterback Ken Ellison threw a 19-yard touchdown pass to Tommy Zinke. Down 10-6, the Jimmies needed a touchdown. They got just that when Trent Remick caught a 16-yard touchdown strike from Bo Erickson. The Jimmies were able to hang on to their 3-point lead to win the Paint Bucket. Final score of the game was Jamestown College 13, Valley City State University 10. The Jimmy women's wrestling team headed to Oklahoma City this weekend to participate in the Oklahoma City Duels. The Jimmies amassed a 3-3 overall record on the weekend. Mary Westman had a great weekend as she went 5-1 for the Jimmies, and Tiffany Slook also shined by going 4-2. The Impact Fighting Championship returned to Jamestown Saturday at the Civic Center. People cheered fighters as they beat each other senseless. Jamestown native Kyle Olson won the main event by a technical knockout in the first round against Tower City native Travis McClellan. Olson full-mounted McCall and landed fist after fist on McCall's head. The fight was called by the referee, much to the dismay of McCall. The main event fighters had a lot of experience as they had participated in over a combined 100 fights.
Well, thanks, Josh. Sounds like a busy weekend both for the Jimmies and in the Jamestown College area. And I understand you were at the cross-country meet yourself, so a lot of fun there. Thank you so much for being with us today and telling us about what happened in the week in the sports. Well, how would you feel if you were being watched while freshening up in the bathroom? For ladies in Vienna, this question has been turned into a harsh reality, where a local artist installed a one-way mirror in the ladies' restroom at a cafe, allowing men to see into the ladies' restroom. Artist Alexander Riegler, who installed the mirror, called it an art project to, quote, stir people into a discussion of voyeurism and surveillance, end quote. A cafe employee says the mirror allows for the men to only see women while at the sink, allowing some degree of privacy. In January, though, it will be the men's turn to get peeked on when the mirror will be flipped. And that's the James River Valley Report for this week. For JT Petsch, Jessica Gulseth, and Josh Knutson, I'm Matthew Nies. Good night.